Jack is one of many stories that are in my head that come out when necessary. Last spring of 2017, I had this enormous number of young boys. We have learned from history that between 11 to 13 is when we start to lose them. And so we put Jack a Moral Musical Tale in motion.
My job was to take the story and make these characters real, starting with Jack, our bully. Bullies aren't just mean because they're born that way. So then I looked at Jack's family and decided that maybe his parents aren't doing so well. He's sort of regurgitating some of his father's attitude on these kids because he feels his family's falling apart. We're not just coming and examining the victim, we're also examining the bully's mother, that family dynamic.
A lot of it is how Jack evolves throughout the show. It's given me a new perspective on how people can change through the experiences that they're going through.
Once I found out that the state of Colorado was the one with the highest suicide rate, it broke my heart and I wanted to change that.
Our goal was to have a creative way to talk about bullying, depression, the social factors that affect kids today. So we have learned that peer-to-peer is a great way for kids to have that conversation. And when they're inspired creatively, they feel way more comfortable to have that conversation and they can play that part in a way that is non-threatening to them.
We should be trying every way to communicate to these kids possible. Doing it through a show like this, you get 2 hours of entertainment, but then at the same time, you'll also get to tackle these massive issues and not have someone coming up there and speaking at you. This kind of opens up the world so that they can also relate to it at certain times. Be like, oh, that's me right there. Or, oh, that speaks to me.
It's a very important show to see, not just for kids, but for parents as well, because some of them don't know really how to handle their kids if they're being bullied. Doing a show is unique because you don't feel like they're trying to target you being like, don't bully, but it's like, oh, it's entertainment. I can watch this. I can relate to this.
The beautiful music that they've composed allows it to be a little bit easier on the ears for the kids to kind of tap into something that they're not going to just sit and listen to a lecture.
If you find your life gets hairy.
The fact that I, at the age of 11, can work with trained Broadway stars, it's just one of the greatest things I've ever experienced.
It's allowed my brain to be more creative, seeing how Josh works.
These were kids that the first day were sitting in the corner, so scared, and then they see these people around, they see these Broadway stars come in, one at a time. They're like, can I do a one-handed cartwheel? And you're like, yeah, and I'm gonna put it right there. And it really gives them the freedom to say, hey, I can do this.
It's opened up my creative side of my mind. I've wrote down some of my own things and looking at some of my own work.
Because these kids are at that age where nothing gets by them, I have to be on my game. I remember in the rehearsal space, I would go up on my line and I'd be searching for the words, and there's like 8 kids that know exactly what I'm supposed to say. They're keeping me on my toes for sure.
Josh put together a 20-minute version. We trained the kids not only in delivering the performance, but how to have a conversation with their peers.
So we reached 8,500 students and we went to 17 different schools. At the end, we had an interactive session asking them what they would do if they were being bullied or if they saw bullying on their playground. Each of the students had a different response. Some of them would even come up to me afterward and ask me personal questions about like what happens if this is happening at home.
Being a teacher in any capacity, you have a huge responsibility to not just teach kids knowledge, but to teach them behavior and kindness. But with this show, that's like tenfold, and it's really been a joy. It's unlike any other show I've been a part of because I get that opportunity.
What we would like to see is that outreach component and that curriculum that goes along with it to be accessible to everyone in the state.
It's a very positive way for children to be able to express themselves and to have other kids understand why a bully may be a bully.
When they went to all the 17 different schools and spoke to children, my daughter said that we as a generation have to end bullying.
It's really good and awesome and fun. If they're bullying you, then they might be going through something.
It shows how your actions matter and that you should treat other people good.
It's a message right now that's so critical in our society. I know adults will enjoy this production, but there's nothing more endearing than hearing these kids walk out with lessons. I know the arts saves lives. It saved my life many times.